So you want to know about travel bags. Well, let me tell you, I got a little bit of experience in that. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. Welcome to Pool Addiction, where I like to do pool and billiards equipment reviews as well as anything pool and billiards related for that matter. And I'm finally getting around to doing this video I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And I've actually had 3 subscribers over the past year really hit me up trying to get me to do this video. And a special shout out to them, Britton Lee, Thomas Mabbitt, and Ravencroft. I'm finally here doing this video. Now, most of you guys know, if you've been around the channel for a while, is I travel for my job about 2 months at a time. And as a result, I typically have most of my experience in larger size bags where I can fit my case in and a lot of other stuff. And believe it or not, even in the larger size bags, finding one that is long enough to put your case in can be kind of difficult. But I'm not gonna just go over just those bags. I'm also gonna try to hit up some smaller bags, and I have an example of one of those, but we'll also go online and see what's out there. And lastly, I also wanna go over some specialty type of items that would be kind of like thinking outside the box of how to travel with your cues, and maybe you want to do something like that. So we'll go over those items too. So let's just get into this. Now, before we actually get into talking to bags, we're going to talk about cases. Now, the cases are important to pay attention to when you're selecting a bag because you have the length of the case that you got to encompass, as well as picking out or having a cue case that further helps protect your cues from being potentially damaged. Now, you might ask, why am I so paranoid about traveling with my cues? Well, a few years ago, I was traveling with this case right here. It's an in-stroke cowboy case, very beefy and heavy even, but I wasn't carrying, I wasn't keeping it in a bag itself. I had it in a cardboard box wrapped with clothes. Well, when I went to go pick it up from the actual luggage claim, the box had been ripped in half, and what I saw was basically this lid being practically ripped off, and even the clasps got bent up pretty good, and my cues were sticking up a little bit, and they had gotten caught by whatever ripped off the lid, and it actually snapped the cues, and it was basically a loss of a $1,500 cue. So that's the reason why I'm pretty worried and paranoid about my cues when I travel, and I've looked at so many of these different options over the years. Now, again, going back to picking out a case, I'm not saying you need to pick out a case, but you need to look at the case you have and look at a couple things. One of them in particular is the length, and then the way it's constructed. How well is it gonna protect your cues if for some reason your bag got really crushed or anything, and your cues may end up getting damaged. So those are the kind of things you really need to look for in the construction of a case. Now, this one right here is a cheap 1x2 case. It's nice in that the material is very rigid. It's not gonna crush very easily. And it's this rubber type of material. The one thing I don't like about the rubber type materials is there's no felt inside, so it doesn't really protect your cues from getting as they're getting knocked around while traveling, getting scratched up or anything like that. But the one big thing that I don't like about this case and would make me worried traveling with it would be the fact that your cue butt and your shafts stick up out of the opening, and they actually protrude into the lid a little bit. And as a result, if you had the same thing happen like my in-stroke, you can have something hit here, rip, and end up snapping your cue. And that's one thing that I would really be wary of in this particular cue type of design, or a case type of design. Now, this one right here is an older case that I have just lying around. It's a Vincatori, and again, this one's not that bad. It's a tubular type of design, and it does have the felt, so it does a better job with the minor banging around that your cues may have. And the outer material is not as rigid, but the tubing is very rigid, so that's pretty nice. But with the tubular design, you typically have the knocking around and sliding around, and this one comes really close to the lid, so that's something to watch out for too. Not necessarily a bad case, but again, those are some of the things to look out for. The cases that I really like to travel with that do a very good job with their design and the way they encompass your cues and keep them protected are JB cases. Now, John Barton, the owner of JB Cases, I have 2 of his cases. This is a rugged. It has a really nice tough material on the outside, but also in the big one is his design on the inside. He uses this sock type of design that he came up with instead of the tubular design. What's nice about this is you load this up with your cues and shafts, keeps everything nice and snug in there and prevents them from even moving around. So that is really nice, and it's a nice plush felt type of material, and I can't be more happy with these type of cases. Also, the material on the outside is a nice rigid plastic or PVC type of material, so it's not going to crush easily. And also, the design is really deep, so your cues actually, I think for this one, it's about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch further down from the lip, so it's going to keep them well protected. So that's pretty nice. Now, this other JB case that I have, this one is no different than this one, other than I had this one specially made to be a little bit shorter so it could fit into my cases, my bags a little bit easier. Even with these cases the way they are, the length of them, I need at least a 36-inch wheel duffel in order to get these cases into the bag comfortably without them protruding or pushing on the sides of the bag. So having a little bit smaller helps out a little bit, but that's where I would talk about taking a measurement of your length of your case, and those are the size of the bags you want to start looking for. Now lastly here, I have a Witten case that I purchased this year, and this one is another really nice case. Now Witten uses a tubular design with felt and everything, and they're nice and deep in here so that your cues don't come out from the opening of the lid. Another thing that's nice about his lid is, unlike all these other cases, he has no space in here, and he actually has this padding material, so when you close it up, it keeps the cues down inside the main part of the body, preventing them from coming up here and having that problem that I had with the in-stroke with the lid getting ripped off. So a really good design. Another thing to think of too with cases are the weights. With any well-protected or case that protects your cues well, they're going to be a little bit on the heavier side. So you're sacrificing a little bit of the weight issue for protection, but in my opinion, that's well worth it. Now, by no means are these the only cases that are out there that are good for travel. There's a lot of them out there online, and we're going to take a look at some of those now. So we have here a Longoni 2x4 Luxe case. But most of the cases I'm going to show you in these examples are going to be kind of based off of this design, which Longoni came up with a long time ago. I don't own any of these style cases, but I've been eyeing them up for a while, and I think they make a very good, plausible travel case to go with. Now, if you notice, this is a hard case. This one's a 2x4 Luxe case. It has some good latches, and it also has a combo lock. Now, this combo lock is not TSA approved, I don't think, so that's something to keep in mind. Anything that you lock for your cases themselves, if it's not TSA approved, you need to either leave them unlocked or leave the combination right next to the combo lock so TSA doesn't break your case, and because they still have the right to get in there and look at them. So let's look at the interior of this case and see how it's actually constructed. You notice here it's got this foam. Well, these foams are cut in slits, and it's designed for you to put your butt and your shafts into that foam, and it gives it a nice secure fitting, and they're offset so they don't bang into each other when you close the case. Also, the tray here is good for different accessories. It's a really nice case, and like I said, Longoni has different sizes of this case as well, so you do have some choice there. But looking at the pricing of Longoni cases, this one here on Amazon is $3.49 with $14 shipping. This is not uncommon for Longoni cases. They do run some a pretty penny, but every now and again you can find them on different sales and whatnot. They make them in a lot of different sizes, like I said, and a lot of different types of material. So this is a good option case. Now this next case, like I said, we're going to look at variants of the Longoni case, and they're basically copycats. This one's a Woods 3x4 case, and it's got a wood type of design on the outside. It is a hard case, and if you notice here, it also has little combo locks. Again, I don't believe they're TSA approved. And the interior, it has the foam just like the Longoni, but you notice The Longoni had just slits, and you have to basically squeeze your cues into that foam, whereas these are more pre-cut. The only thing I would be worried about these pre-cuts would be if you have a smaller diameter cue from what this is designed for, it could not give you as much of a secure fit as the Longoni would. And the interior here is just like the plastic ABS type of material here. You do have a little bit of accessories for the accessory area, but all in all, it's not too bad of a case. Now, looking at the price though, we see that this is much cheaper than the Longonis. This one's a $175 case, so a good option there. Also, this is another Woods design. The design of it is exactly the same other than the exterior material. This one's red, and I'll show you that it comes in blue and silver as well. But basically the same design. Interior is exactly the same, except for I believe this is like a felt material here. Maybe it would help a little bit with cue protection, but I mean, you're not really getting anything out of that. Now, looking at a case with it actually filled up, you kind of see how it's designed to fit these cues in here. Now these shafts, it looks like it might like sit right on top of the cue butts with the shafts. However, these are actually offset to where the shafts are actually sitting in between the cue butts themselves. So you shouldn't have to worry about that too much. And it looks like here in this picture they also got an extension in this accessory part of the case. Now these prices are a little bit cheaper than the wood grain design, and that's $159, and here's the blue as well as the silver. Next one up is a Delta 3x4, again the same design, and the foam is pretty much identical to the Woods case as well, and this one is going for $199. And the last one I have here is an E-clat. Now this is an older thing I had saved on Amazon that I was going to purchase a while back, and Perry, when they were first coming up, E-clat and Perry made a design like this that were pretty much identical to each other, and they don't I can't find it on Amazon anymore, so you can't buy this one, but I wanted to show you this one because the interior design is a little different. I do like the design in here. It's a little bit more everyday kind of look, and you have the combo locks as well. But what's neat is you have this butterfly case type of design where you got these sleeves that you put your cue butts and shafts in with this zipper. Now I'm not too keen on the zipper because I'd be kind of worried that it might scratch your cue, but I don't know how much is exposed when your cue butts and shafts are in here. So that may be a non-point, but it's something to kind of keep in mind. And it looks like these tube designs, these sleeves, actually pull out of the case as well, so that's kind of nice as well. And again, they don't sell this one anymore. I believe when I found it, it was going for about, I want to say about $250, $300. But what was interesting was the one thing that was it brought it up to Longoni prices was the shipping, because it was shipping from Asia, I believe China area or Thailand. It was like a $40 or $50 shipping when it was available. So again, that's something to keep in mind. All right, now we're talking about the large bags. Now these are the bags I have the most experience with. I spent the most time trying to research a good big bag because I travel 2 months at a time, and I'm carrying a lot more than just a couple changes of clothes and my cue case. So I've tried a lot of different ones. I got 4 examples here of what I actually own right now, and I'm going to kind of show you the worst to the best experience I've had with these bags. And these are kind of examples to kind of give you an idea how long the bag needs to be to really fit your case as well. And the first one is this High Sierra. Now this High Sierra was I think the first bag that I bought, and it's a nice big bag, and it isn't too bad even for like a medium travel or even a light travel. But the problem with this one is it's just not that long. I had to actually fit it in diagonally in order to get it to fit, and even then it was really pushing on the corners, and I didn't really like that because if something were to really smack the side of the bag, it could damage your cues depending on how hard that push would be. Now, the thing that's nice about this bag that's different than some of these others is this bottom. And this is where I would keep my case. It's a nice little rigid bottom area there. I could just put the case, maybe a couple other items, and the rail system here for the actual handle helps keep it rigid, which is another nice thing that you try to look for in a bag, is having some rigid sides to kind of help keep that that framework to help protect your case itself and your cues. So this one was pretty nice in that aspect. And then you can put all your clothes up in this area here. Again, not bad. Another thing to look for on bags, and this is a big key one, is not only the construction and the material and how long it would last, but the zippers. The zippers, and if the zippers can lock. Now, the reason why I say the zippers are a really big deal is I watched a lot of videos on how people can get into bags and everything and steal stuff out of your bags. And if you have a smaller tooth zipper, it's really easy for them to take a pin and jab it and rip open the zipper teeth, get what they need, and then re-zip it up. So you wouldn't even know it was gone until you got back to your room or wherever you're staying. So that was another big thing. Bigger teeth zippers are harder to break into than the smaller tooth ones. So at the very least, I would say get ones that are lockable, but then also look at the size of the zippers as well, because that definitely helps out with the deterrence. I think I read somewhere at some point that most of the people that are handling the bags internationally or wherever in the airports that are looking to take stuff out of bags, they're looking for a quick hit and run, basically. So they're looking for something that's unsecured, easy to unzip, zip it back up, because they only have maybe a minute to actually get their hands on it, get what they want out of the bag, and put it back together. So that's something to keep in mind, is give them level of deterrence to get into your bag. Some of these bags, they're going to be protected well enough, but the key also is to keep people from stealing your cues. So that's something to keep in mind. In this particular bag, the zippers aren't very big, and only some of them are lockable. Like the bottom tray is not lockable. So that's one thing that's a big knock on here. The upper one is, though. So that's something to definitely look out for, and I would say is almost a must on every bag, is good zippers and lockable zippers. Next up, we have this bag. Now this bag, you can argue, goes into my specialty category that we're going to talk here near the end, but it's a larger bag, so I figured I'd throw it in with this one. This one's actually a softball bag that is a wheeled duffel. And the cool thing about softball bags is they got to accommodate bats. Well, the bats, ironically, are pretty close to the size of the length of a case. So they typically make them a little bit longer, and that makes it a lot easier. The downside to even travel softball and baseball bags are they're not really built for airline travel very well. So the material isn't very good. The rigidity is decent. This one's got some decent rigidity. The zippers are normal zippers. This top one here is really big, which is good, and that's where you're going to typically keep your cue, and it's lockable, so that's nice. But this material's not very good, and there's a couple areas here and a couple other areas I'm trying to find, but basically they're breathable openings. Now this is because of sports. People that typically are putting equipment in here, they got sweat on it and everything, and they want it to breathe to help dry it out so it doesn't stink up the bag too much. So you're going to see those, so you got to find a way to cover them up so you don't have any type of weather going into the bag and potentially hurting your clothes, but also your cues in your cue case. So those are things to keep in mind when you're looking at a specialty bag like a softball or baseball bag. Great for the length, but the rest of it is kind of questionable. So keep those things in mind. But this bag isn't too bad. I'll show you what it looks like. It actually unzips for a pretty big opening. And like I said, it's got some rigidity. It's got a handle here to help keep the back rigid. The bottom here has got a little bit of rigidity. It's got the wheels, which is pretty nice. But it opens up nice and big. And what I did here, because I had a little bit of the extra length, and I wanted the protection from end to end, I put some foam padding on either end to help keep that. Now you can do that with clothes, but I chose to do it this way to make it a little bit part of the bag. I traveled with this bag once, and it started tearing up on me pretty fast. So that's the reason why I only used it once, and I haven't been able to find a good softball or baseball bag since. But again, it's an option for you. Next up is the bag I travel with the most. I've had this one for about 4 years, and this one is amazing. It's the biggest one that Eagle Creek makes, and it's the Eagle Creek 36 ORV, and it is built like a tank. Great waterproof materials. The zippers are really nice, and it's got the lockable zippers, and if you notice, it's got nice little tugs to make it easy to unzip and zip back up. Now, another thing that I really like about this bag too, and this goes into people trying to poke a hole in the zippers and rip them open and then reseal them. It's got a grommet up here on the material, and I'm able to put the lock through both the material, the grommet, and the zipper lock itself. That's nice because now the zipper can't move up and down. So it helps further, it's another layer of theft deterrent to prevent people from trying to get into your bags and steal what you have inside. So this bag is huge. I want to say it's like, 108 liters, 109 liters. Really great. Like I said, I've had it for 4 years, so it's got a lot of wear and tear. And if you can tell, there's like holes in the corner here. This bottom is a heavy plastic material, so it keeps the frame really good. And as a result, it's kind of worn out over time. But one thing that's nice about this right here, though, is it still doesn't go inside the bag because it's double layered with the material. So even with these holes, it's not getting into the bag. So that's really nice. Now, this bag is also on the heavier side. It's about, I want to say about 14 pounds empty. So again, weight's an issue. And this is a bigger bag. Like if you're going to Vegas for a weekend for a tournament, do you need a bag this big? Probably not, other than needing it for the length for the cases. But again, this is because I travel 2 months at a time. So this is what I need. Anyways, so this is the bag itself. It's nice and rigid. It's got the frame just like the all the other ones with the handle. And even the bottom, though, is nice, solid material. The only thing that's not solid is up here at the top. There is a thin piece of like plastic in there to kind of keep it a little bit rigid, but it's not a great job. Now, the problem I had with this one was, again, it's the largest that Eagle Creek made, and my case, my gray and orange regular size JB case, would fit in here end to end, but it would push at this top just a little bit, and I didn't really like that. So that's the reason why I had the smaller one made, and it fits in here nice and good now, and it doesn't have too much of a problem. So again, this is a really nice bag. It is a little bit on the expensive side. I think I paid like about it was either $300 or $250 for it, but with my travel, it's money well spent, because this bag's lasted me over 4 years, and my last trip I used this bag, so it's a great bag. Now the last bag I have here is a new bag. I haven't traveled with it yet, but I've been looking at this bag forever and really liked it. Now this bag is a 511 CAMS 3.0, and CAM stands for Carry All My Stuff. Yeah, and it is huge. This one's about 40 inches long, so I don't think you're going to have any problem sticking any case in this bag. And the zippers are nice and thick. They're also lockable zippers. It doesn't have the grommet, but it has the lockable zippers. The top part, which is really neat, if I can get it open. This top part, where you would typically probably put all your clothes, because I'm going to show you where I would keep my cues in a minute. It has molly webbing in here, and it has these little loops here. What these loops are for, and looks like I don't have them in here. It has these poles that run the length around here to keep it up and nice and rigid and keep it open for you. I don't know how well that would hold up with if you kept them in when you're traveling, and as far as like the luggage handlers throwing your bags and stacking them on top of each other. But I thought that was a pretty neat feature that would keep the bag nice and rigid. so it's not folding up on you like you see here, but definitely nice. This also has a lot of pockets on the side for you to put various things. Very, very nice. The bottoms here have these little knobbies to keep protection, but also this is nice and hard materials on the ends to keep things protected. Now, the one place where I would keep my cues in this thing, and this is what really made me go, ooh, I like this bag, is the bottom part. Now, okay, there. This bottom part unzips like the High Sierra, the first one I showed you, and has a bottom compartment. And there's the rods that I was talking about. But this bottom part is rigid all the way around. And this is designed actually to put one of the 5.11 tactical AR-15 gun cases in here and actually cinch it down and keep it inside your bag so you're not carrying with two different bags. But that makes this compartment perfect for a cue case. I absolutely love this case. This entire thing, even the bottom, nice and rigid. One of the drawbacks with this is it doesn't have the extended luggage handle like all the other ones do, but it's still got a handle to wheel it around. It's really, really nice. But I haven't traveled with this one yet, but if I did, I think I would love this thing. And the bottom zippers are nice and big and beefy, and they also lock as well. So that's that other added layer of protection that you definitely would want in a bag. And even if you didn't want to stick it down in here, you can always stick it in the upper part of this bag and be just fine, in my opinion. But this bag is way overkill for a weekend trip or a couple of days of trip. This one definitely would be more meant for what I do with my job, with a 2-week or 2-month travel time period for all my stuff. Drawback to this bag is the heaviest one. I want to say the website says it comes in at like 18 pounds empty. So a very heavy bag. You figure 18 pounds here plus a case with a bunch of cues in it, 25 pounds at the most. So you're looking at, almost 40 pounds, just your cues and your bag. So that's something to worry about. Because of my job, they let me go with overweight baggage, and they pay the baggage fees. So I'm not concerned with paying overweight baggage fees, but that's something that is a huge drawback. But if you do something like I do, this might be up your alley. So definitely think this bag has a lot of potential when it comes to the large bags and being the best bag out there to travel with your cues. Now, with all these bags, again, it's not all the bags that are out there. These are what I have example of. So we're going to look online at some other bag examples as well. All right, here's the first example I have for a large bag. Now, all I do really for these is I just search on Amazon for the size that I'm looking for, or Google it, and I just keep on going through until I find something. This one right here is happens to be a duffel that is 42 by 20 by 20. One thing about this is you're not going to have the protection like some of the other cases I showed earlier, because it's just a regular duffel. However, it's a nice large bag that'll fit a lot of things as well as your case. And it's, like I said, 42 by 20 by 20, and it comes in different colors, black, navy blue, and camouflage, and it's $29.99. The next one I have here is the Adventure 36. This one is a rolling duffel. It does have a little bit of protection here, it looks like, and you can see the wheels, and the interior is nice and big. You got the rack in the bottom there for the spine to kind of give you some rigidity. So nice little bag here, and this bag is going for, it looks like $39.99 for a member price on this website, Bed Bath & Beyond, or $49.99. This one right here is the newer version of the High Sierra I showed you earlier. So notice here it's 34 inches, and it's still a nice bag. It's just, unless you have a smaller type of Q case, this bag is going to be very hard to use. And the pricing on this on Amazon is going to be, looks like $139.99. So a decent price. All right, here's the Eagle Creek ORV 36 that I normally travel with. Just kind of give you a quick example, and more or less you already know what it looks like and the protection and everything, but I wanted to show you the pricing on this because this one's a little more expensive. It says $509 here. However, if you go to a couple of the other sites I googled, you can actually get it for a lot cheaper than that. I believe I found it for I want to say it was like $370, $350, something like that. So it's a good bag and it's going to last you a long time, but it is a more expensive bag. The next one I have up here is, this is the examples of softball and baseball bags that I was talking about before. So this one is an Easton, and to kind of give it a look-see, you see it's got a lot of opening, and it's got some rugged wheels and a good rigidity for the rough and tumble of sports. However, I don't know if this one's going to be very good for traveling. I don't know if the zippers are lockable, for one, but it does give you the size that you're looking for. Now the rest of these are going to be all baseball, softball type of examples. This one's a D Marini, and it's 7508. And you look at the sizing, and it's got a nice size to it. And like I said, with them being able to fit baseball and softball bats, they make them a little bit longer. So this is another option for a larger size bag for your Q cases. Here's another one. Again, baseball type bag with the wheels, and this one's going for $89.99. This last one here is the one I actually have that I showed you, a little bit more expensive, $193, but I just wanted to throw it in here so you can see what the pricing was on it. Now, like I said earlier, small bags, I don't travel a whole lot with small bags. I only have one example that I currently own, and this is it right here. It's off of Amazon. It's just a canvas duffel that is long enough to fit the Q cases. There's no extra padding in here. That was something I was going to look into maybe doing myself, but one thing I liked about it is the big zippers and the lockable zippers. But it opens up, and I want to say this is like, it's either 38 or 39 inches long, so it's long enough for pretty much any Q that you may own, and it's big enough that, I mean, you could fit a lot of stuff in here. Now, the way to pack your Q cases in this is trying to manipulate your clothes and everything around the case itself to give it as much padding around the whole thing as possible. Also, with a bag this size, if you have extra room, you could probably put in padding yourself. Like I said, kind of like the foam padding that I put in the softball bag. That would be a good option. But there's plenty of options out there other than this bag. This is just something I got that I was going to try to play around with to see what I could do with it. So we're going to go online and look at a bunch of different other bags that are more fitting for the shorter travels, like to Vegas for a tournament week or something like that. So we'll take a look at that right now. Okay, with smaller bags here, I got some here in this examples that are mainly just for Q cases, and you might be able to fit a few little articles of clothing in with them. And then there's some that you can fit clothes with as well as the bags. The first one I have up here is from Ozone Billiards, and this is a basic travel bag. You can see it's got zipper locks and everything. It's pretty nice. It doesn't look like it has much for protection though, but it is cheap. It's $25.73. It doesn't look like you can fit much anything in here other than your Q case itself. Next up I have is Pool Dog. This is another kind of cheap option that they offer, and you can see here it's decent size, but you're not going to fit much other than your Q case in here. And again, this one doesn't look like it has much for padding. I believe it says it's lightly padded in the description, so it has a little bit of padding but not much. And I can't quite tell if this has lockable zippers, so that's something to definitely be concerned about on this one. But this one right now is on sale for $35 on Pool Dog. Now, next up, I have this Apex. I found this through Google searching, just trying to find any smaller type of bags for Q cases. This is their small version, and the next one we're going to see is their large version. But you can see here, decent sized bag. It does have lockable zippers, and it looks like it's a bigger tooth type of zipper. And I believe this one is also padded as well. And you should be able to not worry too much about this one. This one's $44.95. But again, this one looks like it's basically your Qs and a couple items, and that's it. The larger bag, though, you see is definitely got more size to it. It's basically built the same, and it has the lockable zippers, and it looks like it's got an expansion here to make it a little bit bigger, and it's $54.95. Now on Siebert's, this is Predator's version of their travel bag, and this is not a bag that's going to protect it a whole lot. It does have some padding. You're not going to have any more room other than for your case itself, and it's going for $69. Now JB, John Barton's, he does make a travel bag, and it's a little bit bigger. You see how the size on this one, it's nice. He's got it priced at $100, and it's zippered. It has enough room for you to put more than just your case, and it is padded. The one concern I'd have about this is, are the zippers lockable, and what are the size of the teeth of the zippers? It looks like they might be decent size, but I can't quite tell. It doesn't look like they're lockable. However, I have no doubt that John will probably work with you if you want to make a custom version with a specific type of zipper on your bag, because he makes these custom cases all the time for customers, and he's really good with customer service. So I'm sure you can probably work with him and make it a little bit more the way you want it. And like I said, $100 isn't bad at all. Alright, this one right here is a small equipment duffel. It's more generic, but it's the size of Q cases. It does have lockable zippers. The zipper tooth size doesn't look very big though, but it is a decent looking bag. And this one's going actually really cheap, $17.99, and it's 60 liters, so you'll definitely be able to fit at least one case, if not more, plus any type of clothing that you're bringing on your trip. Next up is just a regular duffel bag, military style, $28.99. It's not going to give you any special protection. That's where you got to use your clothes. However, you can lock this with an actual physical lock, so it's just another option out there. Lastly, I got this YouTube video, and I really wish they made this still, because this thing looks pretty neat, and I wish they actually made this. I cannot find it on the internet anywhere. If anybody knows about it or has it, hit me up, because I definitely would like to take a look at this bag. But look at this real quick at the little infomercial that they have here to show you what it has to offer. And one thing on the interior, it has plenty of room for your clothing. And you'll see here once he unzips this, the case he's using is a Longoni. I believe it's a Longoni case or a Longoni style case. And it fits in here like a glove. Definitely nice case here. Yeah, it is a Longoni. But unfortunately, they don't make this anymore. And it's a shame. It is really a shame. Finally, we're to the part where I kind of like the most, because it's a specialty cases, taking something that wasn't meant to travel with Q cases and repurposing for it. Makes you get really imaginative and trying to figure things out. And what I have here is an AR-15 tactical gun case. Now this is a very good option as long as you can find the right one. It's perfect for the length. However, where I found the problem was the depth of the case itself. A lot of the AR-15 tactical cases weren't deep enough to fit the case in there. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these gun cases, is not just the length, but the depth of it itself. You could find longer ones that were deeper, but I didn't want to travel with a really long case if I'm just looking for something about this size. Now, a case I came across that I never purchased that gives you the depth, but also this length that's a little bit longer, is it was SKB. It was like a double takedown, double shotgun case. So it gave you more depth, but it maintained the length. It was I think it was only about another 2 inches longer than this one. Now I've never traveled with this, and the reason why I never traveled with this is I had a coworker I was traveling with one time, and it got me to thinking with what happened to him if I wanted to do this option. And what happened was he was traveling with a Pelican case that had his PS4 in it. Well, we got to one of our locations, and his Pelican case never showed up. And that got me to thinking somebody could just pick up this case and walk away with it, because it's by itself, it's smaller. It could easily go missing. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these cases is if you're going to travel like this, is that going to be a potential issue for you? Another thing too with having a case like this is typically people think of these as being a gun case, which they are. So some people maybe think you're traveling with a rifle. For me, it's not a big deal. I don't care about that, but I have not ever used this because of the experience that my coworker had. But I had taken this case and I had taken some foam and cut it out and shattered it out for my case to where it would fit in here nice and perfect and snug and wouldn't move around. And it does a really good job. It's also weather sealed, so you don't have to worry about weather. I like the fact that it's really rigid. You have latches to keep it latched down, which is nice. And you also have locking eyelets for TSA approved locks. And that's something you need to make sure you have, is TSA approved locks, because they're just going to tear into your stuff and break it if it's not. Some of these cases have locks on them, on the latches themselves. Again, make sure those are TSA approved if you plan on using one of those type of cases. Now, gun cases aren't the only option out there for specialty cases. I've come across a lot of other things in my research that would be a viable option for you, and we're going to take a look at some of those now. All right, so now let's take a look at some of these specialty cases that I was able to find. This first one here is a 10x38 rolling tripod grip case. This is mainly meant for photographers and videographers out there that carry their tripods, stands, and miscellaneous equipment. Some things that are nice when you look at tripods and stand cases is you're going to get the length right off the bat, and you're also going to get some rigidity to the product, to the bag itself. And you can see here, this one's got some good size to it. It does have some rigidity. It does have the wheels, so you don't have to be carrying this one around all over the place. I don't know if this has lockable zippers to it though, but this is a good potential option there. However, it is a little expensive at $284.95. Next up is the HPRC 6300. This one actually I think is my favorite one out of all of them. It is a tripod case and it's made out of all plastic. It looks nice and rigid. It's got wheels to it. It has the holes for locking it, and it definitely looks like it has a lot of potential. However, it is $269.99. The next one we got here is another tripod case. This one's kind of neat in that this slides up. That's how you insert the items. However, I don't believe it's lockable. It just has this strap that goes around it. So that's one of the things that's a downside to this particular case or bag. And it comes in at $233.99. Now we're going to get into the gun cases. This is the gun case that I have that I was showing you earlier, and to give you an idea of what it looks like inside. And you can see it comes with this foam. You can pull it apart and cut it out to fit your Q case, or you can just pull it out and put your own custom foam in there. So this case actually goes for $69.99. Next up is another tactical gun case. This one's a little bit longer at 43 inches. It has the pull-out foam as well, and it does have wheels, so you don't have to carry it around it wherever you go. You can just wheel it around. And this one's coming in at $139.99. Now, if you're going to go with gun cases, this is the one I would recommend. This is the SKB double shotgun case that I was telling you about earlier. It's 40 inches by 9 inches by 6 inches, and this particular foam, you just pull it out and you can use the rest of the foam for your case. Definitely a really nice, well-built case. It has the wheels, and it does have eyelets for your TSA locks. And this one is coming in at $264.99. Lastly, we didn't really talk about golf travel bags, but this is a Samsonite travel bag that is designed to put all your golf clubs in, to include the golf club bag. It's really nice in that you get a lot of space to put your cues and whatever else you're carrying. However, it is really bulky like the larger bags. But one thing that's nice about this is it's a bigger bag that isn't going to really walk away on you, and it is designed for traveling with on airlines. So let's summarize what we've talked about today. As far as your case goes, you need to know the length of your case so you know what size bag to get. Also, your case should be sturdy enough to where it can give you that extra layer of protection within your bag. Now, as far as the bags are concerned, you want to make sure the material is durable and is going to last, but also if it has some rigidity within it, that gives you another layer of protection. But the big thing when it comes to your luggage and your bags is the zippers. You want to make sure you have the big tooth zippers, big as possible, and they're lockable. And if you can lock them in one place to where you can't move the zipper up and down like the Eagle Creek with the grommet, that's the most ideal situation, but not every bag is built that way. But lockable zippers and big tooth zippers are the way to go. Now with the specialty bags, those can be pretty interesting. You're going to have to think outside the box to how to make it work for your situation, but they can provide you really good protection. I showed you the gun case idea, but there's also the lighting case with the tripods and the different lighting bags. Those may work for you as well. Whatever the case may be, you're going to have to kind of figure out how to make that work. One last thing I didn't bring up is insurance. Now, I've tried to find insurance. Insurance can be kind of a pain in the butt, but I wanted to throw it in here real quick. Sometimes you can get it off of your homeowner's insurance, or you can get a floater policy based off your homeowner's insurance, or just get a separate insurance policy altogether. What kills me about the insurance is you can insure golf clubs all day long, but when you ask them about pool cues, they're like, oh, I'm not too sure about that. We don't want to insure that. So it can be very difficult. I did find one policy a few years ago, but I never got it, and it was about $500 a year. A little spendy, but that was the only one that I could specifically get that would cover my cues without a doubt. So I'd like to know, for those of you that have experience traveling with your cues and you have a favorite bag, what is it? Post it in the comment section below and let's get a conversation started. I really am interested to see what ideas you guys have and what kind of bags you guys travel with. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button below and post a comment in the comment section, especially if you have any experience with traveling with your cues. I sure would like to hear about it. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet already, why haven't you done so already? I'm going to be putting out a bunch of new videos in the new year, and you're definitely want to stay tuned for that. Also, hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I do put out those new videos. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one. Welcome to Pool Addiction, where I like to do pool and billiards equipment reviews as well as anything pool and billiards related for that matter. And this is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I have a couple of I need to get those subscriber names. Well, here we go again, because I didn't record the first time.